So they're going to be different, just like user stories. We have some user stories that are epics. They're huge. They're really complex. We got to break them down a little bit. And then when we have a story that is the largest, most complicated thing that a team can do, right? That's one end of the spectrum. Another one is, hey, it's a, if we're using story points and a Fibonacci sequence, it's a 1 or it's a 2 or a 3, right? It's really small. So one end of the spectrum, less complex, right? Maybe it's an enhancement to a single product by one development team, minimal impacts or changes to operations. And we have a complex MBI, right? The other end of the spectrum. 2 or more products need to be enhanced. 2 or more teams are involved. We do have in our value creation structure options within Discipline Agile's value stream management space. We have something called the Focus Solution Team. It's a way to be able to form a slightly larger team that has the skills and experience across a product stack. Again, across a value stream of all those products to be able to take on a sequence of MBIs. But outside of that, yeah, more complexity. We've got multiple enhancements, multiple products, multiple teams doing that work, plus something like significant changes to operations or supporting value stream areas that are going to be contributing to this value being delivered. So in DA, for those of you that don't have much awareness of what that is, DA is based on making decisions with lots of options. So, if you have one option, you don't have any options. If you have 2 choices, you kind of have a dilemma, right? 3 or more choices, then you really get into options, and DA has a lot of options for things. And I'm trying to stress a point that I'll show you one approach to capturing information in a business canvas style format. It's one we've used a lot with customers. It's one that I personally also like, but there's lots of different ways that you can go about doing this. So yeah, it's business canvas here. We have bits of information, right? We have this container of information that we've identified. So I'll walk you through an example of a complicated MBI. So the first thing is we've got strategic alignment with this approach, and it's kind of the chicken and the egg situation. So I'm going to talk about MBIs. I'm going to talk about the strategic alignment, that then I'm going to actually show you how we do that in our idealized value stream. So the first thing is that we've got a strategic objective, right? And these are typically set. These are the big things on a roadmap that might be like that 3-year roadmap or 5-year roadmap. In this particular case, this organization had 10 of them. And the value stream that I'll use in part of our example was contributing to achieving 3 of them. So compound annual growth rate, this was very large company, so 3.25% compound annual growth rate was a pretty significant improvement. So these outcomes then are decomposed into initiatives. And initiatives are typically pretty big, 6 months, maybe 12 months, 18 months, right? I mean, it's to be able to get an increase in a particular product category of 48%, again, compound annual growth rate. There's a fair amount of things that are going to need to happen to contribute to hitting something like that. One of them, just one out of the many that had been identified, this minimum business increment was to develop a global ultra-premium product microsite with what was called a very special VIP-specific user interface. So if you think about a lot of companies, right, I mean, PMI being one, PMI's got PMI.org, and then there's multiple microsites. So you can go to the Discipline Agile microsite. It's the same colors and a lot, same font or whatever, but it is a different look and feel than other microsites within the PMI.org website. And that's the equivalent of what this is, right? So this was a direct-to-consumer sales portal, but now we're looking at very, very expensive on a per-product purchase that had a different type of customer, different price point, different types of options to purchase some of these very limited, very reserved products versus the other end of the spectrum, right? So instead of a $8 to $15 product, you might be talking about a $500 to $5,000 product. So it had a different look and feel, different bit of functionality in this microsite. So the next thing in one of the very important aspects of the MBI is the enhancements across the product or products. And in this case, there were multiple products that needed enhancement, as well as the other value streams that were going to contribute to value-adding activities. So here's a list of features, right? And there was some additional supporting context that we can have in addition to what's in the MBI. Personas, customer journey mapping, the types of things that in DA we call an explicit list. Yeah, if we're using user stories and we're putting those on a backlog, we might have data requirements, or we might have business rules. We might have things that maybe more than one story is going to trigger or initiate. Kind of similar here. We have some things that were applicable to this MBI plus a number of the others. So additional supporting information. But what I want to focus on here is we've got feature level requirements in our products, as well as things that need to happen from the operational and the support value stream. So again, the bottom one, the team brand ambassadors, right? So this was a team in the marketing area responsible for the release of this microsite. Digital assets, print assets, lots of different types of sponsorship, events, concerts, that type of stuff, right? It's a product company, so I mean they get the word out. Operational value stream as well. There was a change because when somebody needed support for these really expensive products, well, there was a change in the customer support model for that. Again, kind of like, hey, I do pre-pandemic, I used to do quite a bit of flying. And so I had a pretty good level of status with one of the airlines. Well, I didn't, the number I called, I would typically, within 2 or 3 rings, somebody would pick up the call and and help me out, versus, some of the other airlines that I would occasionally travel that I have no status on, and I would just be calling and could be an hour before somebody talked to me. All right. So a big change in the operational value stream that if we didn't have that, we might not be successful or anywhere near successful as we could with what was being desired as an outcome from this MBI. So what